Preparing to see daughter I gave up at birth next weekend. I'm quite terrified.
I am not op. Original post by you, Thrower Watermellow in our relationship advice. An NBSP. Preparing to see daughter I gave up at birth next weekend. I'm quite terrified. The 21st of February 2021. I was 15 when I had her and I didn't want to be a mother and I waited too long to have an abortion. For the entire pregnancy, my partner and I, at the time, both agreed that we would give the baby up for adoption and even found parents. But at the last minute, he backed out and said he wanted to keep the baby. I was scared, terrified even, and I didn't want to be a mother at all.
I wanted to forget all of it even happened. We were too young to be someone's mom and dad. The last month of my pregnancy was hard. I contacted the adoptive parents and told them that it will most likely not happen, but I'll reach out to them if things go back to how they were supposed to. I thought he was bluffing. He always made decisions without thinking. I had the baby, a girl, and he didn't change his mind. He wanted to be a 15-year-old dad, and I was scared, but he told me that I didn't have to be in the baby's life, so I wasn't. I went to live with my aunt in another state for the remainder of my teen years. My parents were furious when they found out I was pregnant, and my dad didn't talk to me for weeks at first, but eventually they kinda came around.
I didn't want to be reminded of the fact I had a baby and I was given a chance to start fresh. I was hoping that he eventually gave up the baby. It was all based on guilt. I'd rather would have had a child and give them up for adoption versus having a child and leaving them to be raised by one parent. When my daughter was 5, I found her dad on Instagram. It was the first time I saw her since birth. I was still young at the time, 20, and ended up deleting Instagram because I didn't want to be reminded of what I did. 4 years went by and I signed into my old account, and saw my block list had her father. This time she was 9. I unblocked him and went through her photos with him. I reached out and I got an instant "please do not contact again" and a block.
It took him 2 years to give me an okay to see her. Which is supposed to be next week. I'm scared, guilty, ashamed but happy. I don't expect to be welcomed with open arms. I just want to talk. She's 11 and she's on the cheerleading team. Ironic because I was 2. I thought I was ready. But I'm not sure. Some days I wish I never left. Most night, especially in the past year. An NBSP. Update. Preparing to see daughter I gave up at birth next weekend. I'm quite terrified. The 9th of March 2021. Well, I saw her for the first time 2 weeks ago and all I can say is that she is such a sweet little girl. So smart for an 11-year-old and she is so her dad's twin. I let her do some serious questions asking as a comment said and she was very articulate. Asked me a few that were difficult to answer but I got through that and did it anyway. I was extremely anxious when I first met her. I just want to say thank you to her father for raising such a bright young lady and allowing me to meet her. Told me all about her cheerleading meets. And even invited me to one. It was incredibly kind for him to do so and I understand his concerns. People in the comments did point out some issues with my overall feelings about how everything went down. We were both 15, and had already settled on adoptive parents when he changed his mind and said he wanted to keep it when I was 8 months along. After she was born, I kept doing everything in my power to try to forget it even happened, like moving states away. Avoiding the topic. Completely leaving it out if I ever explain significant parts of my life story. I'm working on accepting it happened and the emotional aspects of it. An NBSP. Reminder: I am not the original poster.
It's always a bad situation when parents disagree about how to handle an unplanned pregnancy. This worked out pretty well considering.
Giving birth at 15 must be so traumatizing. My sister was about that age when she finally went through puberty.
I think the right thing was done all around. Better an absent mother than a bad mother, and oops, sounds like she was so unready. I'm glad things worked out when she finally met her daughter. So she is only 26. Still quite young, but it seems she has come to terms with everything. If she doesn't rush and force things, I could imagine this working out well. In these cases, I find that I am always on the child's side. I was also really worried about the kid when Dad made the 180-degree turn at 8 months. I'm glad she is doing well and Oop is going to work on herself. In reading the update, I couldn't help but feel that Oop has a long way to go in coming to terms with this. It sounds like she is willing to do that, which is good. I say this because if she is going to be in this kid's life, she needs to be there. It would be 10x worse if she came and then kept leaving again. I also hope that her ex doesn't cause issues. I am cautiously optimistic. The daughter is only 4 years younger than Oop was when she had her. I'm sure when she's 15, she will absolutely understand why her mother wasn't ready to raise a child. I don't think anyone that age is. Pertinent info from OOP's comments. OOP's parents paid child support until she finished school and could afford to on her own at age 23. The role she will play in her daughter's life will be determined by what the daughter wants of her and the father allows. She is fine being whatever the daughter wants her to be. There was no mention anywhere about the father's family. But the fact that he was 15 and apparently capable of raising a child as a single father at that age implies he had a supportive family, as opposed to OOP's, at least with regard to the pregnancy. From OOP's words, I got the sense that they would have been of minimal help to her if she kept the child herself. She was 15 years old, still going through puberty and also going through the body horror of pregnancy at the same time. She was terrified, and the plan she and the father had in place for months was changed at the last moment by the father. Oop was not a deadbeat mother. She was a child who tried to do right by her child by giving it to a couple ready, willing, and able to raise a baby. If they had gone through with the adoption as originally planned, very few people would be so critical of OOP's lack of involvement. The person who bears the child has the right to choose whether or not to continue the pregnancy, with or without the biological father's input. This is very similar, not identical, given that the child is living and breathing, in the sense of the biological father choosing the outcome of the pregnancy without the input of the mother. People think badly of women who baby trap men all the time. While this is not the same situation, the concept of one pair of the couple unanimously deciding to make them parents does apply. The father unanimously chose that he would be a parent, taking away the OOP's choice. Oop did not abort the child. She knew she was unable to be a good mother, or provide the child with the life it deserves. She chose to give the child up for adoption, knowing it was the best option for the child. This is something that would normally receive praise. But because the father changed that plan at the last minute, there are some people villainizing Oop. It's ridiculous. Aside from getting pregnant in the first place, Oop did everything right. She was terrified, traumatized, and had no real emotional support from her parents. She was a child. Now that she's an adult in a stable position, she is doing the best she can by her biological daughter despite having no obligation to. She has no expectations of being a mother, and just wants to be there for her when asked. The 15-year-old father should be commended for taking responsibility and raising the daughter well, against all odds. While it seems to have worked out, I personally don't think what he did was in the best interests of the child at the time. And they were just very lucky. It's terrifying to have a baby and give it up even if you know 100% you aren't ready to be a parent. The what-ifs about their life. Wondering if they're being taken care of properly. Wondering if it would have been better or worse for them if you had tried to white-knuckle through it. They must drive you crazy. I hope it's a relief for her to see that the father did such an outstanding job raising that little girl. Dagger to the heart for the adopting couple. Dad is a good guy. Mom wasn't ready. Nothing wrong with that. Now she's ready, willing to sit in the hot seat and do the work. Seems like this story could have a happy ending.
So many ugly comments in here today.
Wow, the incels are hanging out in this comment section.
As an adoptee who searched and found, I am so proud of this woman for allowing her girl into her life. Mine turned me down the first time, but after I corresponded with her by mail then email, I explained I was not going to out her to anyone or yell at her for giving me up. She gave me a good life overall with my adoptive family. While I realize the circumstances are different here, I hope Oop takes it slowly for herself, as well as her daughter's sake. Some people are being harsh to Oop or the dad, but I think it's okay to step back sometimes and understand everyone's just trying to do their best. Here, Oop was completely right to not be in the kid's life if she wasn't emotionally ready to be a parent, or even wanted the kid. But I also don't think birthing a child gives her the right to walk into the kid's life literally anytime she wants just because she's ready now. Dad was also totally justified being angry at first and then coming back later and making her wait before jumping straight into contact. As a dad, the guy's gotta think about what's best for his kid because he's the one dealing with the fallout. If anything goes wrong, being right does not absolve her of, in his eyes, abandoning their daughter. He has to worry about Oop getting cold feet again and leaving after getting the kid's hopes up. That's years of therapy and mommy issues waiting to happen. Is an instant block maybe a little harsh? Yeah, probably. But it was obviously a heat of the moment thing. Probably from years of resentment and, justifiably so, thinking that it isn't fair to him or the kid that Oop can just waltz into their lives after 9 years of no contact. 2 years to show her commitment to seeing their daughter. To show that this isn't some phase. Is entirely justifiable, especially when the kid is so young. Therapy is in order for everyone here. I think. Oop was super not in a good headspace to be meeting this kid in my opinion. The dad sounds resentful of her decision. And the daughter should have one just in case because adjusting to her mom coming back could be rough. I really hope everything works out for all of them. Man, this is sad all around. And I can't imagine having to tell my 11-year-old that I wasn't in her life because I was afraid. That's a very hard conversation to have. And one a preteen likely won't fully grasp. But being honest now means that as she grows up and learns more about life, there's a chance to salvage the relationship. That's good. Dad sounds like a stand-up guy. Big up to all single dads out there. I see you. You are doing amazing. Hello. I am with the irony police. Just came here to say that irony deals with opposites, not with coincidences. It's not ironic that the daughter is also a cheerleader. That's a coincidence. Now, if the daughter also has a child when she's 15 and decides that she's not gonna be in his life, that's still a coincidence. But if she decides to raise it, now we are into ironic territory. Thank you. I feel bad for the prospective adoptive parents. Seems like the daughter had a good upbringing with her father. But how heartbreaking for these two established adults, who are ready and actively seeking a child to adopt, to have their prospective child raised by another child. I can only imagine how hard this was for both the mom and the dad. This is why parents need to talk to their kids about sex. In every aspect. They're going to do it. We need to teach them about consent and prophylactics and just support them. At 15, I still didn't know how to wash the dishes well. Barely knew my head from my ass. Glad this worked out well for them.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.